It looks like it's that time once again as our drivers prepare themselves for today's big championship race. Built on the shores of the Black Sea, the Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile tour around some of the venues built for the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Close barriers may make overtakes more challenging, but with 56% of the lap taken absolutely flat out, we certainly won't be wanting for pure speed. A fitting arena then to do battle at the pinnacle of motorsport. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Now, can I get your take on Max Verstappen? That was a great podium in the last race, so can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs, so it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Ricciardo, Lewis Hamilton, and Vettel, Ocon, Norris, Stroll, and Sergio Perez. Albon, Gasly, Daniel Kvyat, and Raikkonen, Sainz, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, and Roman Grosjean, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out.
And here we are in Russia, revving up to 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go. Verstappen gets off to a great initial launch there. Through turn 1 now. And here comes Bottas. Looks like Verstappen screwed up the second part of the start, the second phase of the start. As now Bottas has absolutely taken the lead of this race. Down the inside goes Ricciardo. Down the inside goes Leclerc. Down the inside goes Hamilton. And now he's alongside Sebastian Vettel. Is Max Verstappen. And now it looks like Verstappen's dropped places to both Vettel and Ocon. And now there goes Norris around the outside. Verstappen's late on the brakes. At least he's able to hold off Lando Norris. As Stroll and Perez are going side by side there. And no, sorry, it's Stroll and Albon going side by side. Albon, I believe, just made up a place. As around the outside goes Albon. Very nicely done indeed, as now he's going to go in pursuit of Lando Norris. Max Verstappen got a great initial launch, but in the second phase of the start, he just kind of screwed it up. And because the run into the first braking zone is so long, it meant that Verstappen really lost a lot of time and positions. But now, if we look up ahead, Verstappen and getting in front of Ocon. He's going around the outside, which becomes the inside for the next corner. Down the inside goes Max Verstappen on Esteban Ocon, 2 old rivals from Formula 3 and, of course, Brazil 2018. Into P6 goes Max Verstappen. As now, it looks like Leclerc was actually the one behind Vettel, although he's qualified in front of Vettel. Vettel is the one who I guess beat him on the start, because now it's Vettel who's in front of Charles Leclerc. And Max Verstappen is behind a lot of people at the moment, as Hamilton has moved himself up into 3rd place after a pretty horrendous qualifying yesterday. He got caught in traffic after a pretty scruffy first lap. It was 1.3 seconds off Verstappen's pole lap. But let's see in the race if he's going to be that far off. As now, look at that, Leclerc is being caught by Verstappen, who's taking a different line through, I believe, turn 3 there. Not taking the same line as everyone else through turn 3. I'm not sure if it's better or worse for Verstappen, but given he got pole, it's been very quick. I do think it's better, as that Red Bull is looking very quick. As now Verstappen has a look down the inside. No, he doesn't actually go for it, but he's all over the back of Leclerc. We can see just how quick that Red Bull is through the corners, and just how hard Verstappen's pushing that car through the corners, and it's just a mix of both of them. As now he even has to look at Leclerc, but he doesn't actually go for it, as he's very close to Charles now. DRS has not yet been enabled, but he's close enough to get a very strong slipstream. Charles, surely he's probably going to use the overtake button as well. On the back of Leclerc, he's looking to the outside, and then he sends it down the inside of Charles Leclerc. Very late on the brakes goes Max Verstappen. Great overtake from Verstappen to get up into 5th place. Now Leclerc has lost a bit of time to Esteban Ocon. Look at that, he goes a little bit wide there. A lot of understeer from Verstappen, but it doesn't matter because he's so good in the corners, that Red Bull, that he still pulled from Leclerc. Incredible move from Verstappen. Faked to the outside, went to the inside, and now he's going in pursuit of Vettel. And he went from quite some ways back too. He was that was a pretty long way back, so he had to really send it, and he's absolutely done that. Now he's chasing down Sebastian Vettel for 4th place, then Hamilton, and then his former teammate Daniel Ricciardo. As you can see, Ricciardo is holding both Hamilton and Vettel up quite a lot, and it's allowing Verstappen to catch up a little bit. But of course, Max did also have all this pace early in this race. As you can see, Bottas has already pulled a massive gap over Daniel Ricciardo as Verstappen goes very wide through there, as he understeered and then oversteered off track. Look at how quickly he can just chuck it in through there. And now he's on the back of Vettel already. Absolutely pushing the car to the limit, Verstappen. And that Red Bull is looking very strong this weekend, although Albon was 1.7 seconds off in qualifying off his teammate. But anyways, back to this race, because you can see Verstappen is on the back of Vettel. Of course, DRS is active. He's going to do the exact same thing he did to Leclerc, but from even further back. He sends it down the inside of Vettel, back around the outside. What a move by Max Verstappen. Absolutely sent it. Once again, had a look to the outside, but then faked to the outside, launched it down the inside, but Vettel was actually able to hold it alongside Verstappen into the next corner, where Max just sent it right around the outside. As that Red Bull just once again showing the massive amounts of grip it's got at the moment. It looks like they've made some pretty good upgrades to that car after the disappointment, not disappointment, but just a struggle in Singapore, especially in the low-speed corners, as Bottas continues to pull away in this race from Ricciardo, Hamilton, and now Verstappen in 4th place. Chasing down Hamilton. He's very close. Look at how close he is to Hamilton now. On the back of Lewis. Here he goes. He looks to the inside. Lewis goes defensive. Verstappen goes to the outside. Lewis outbreaks him, but Verstappen goes for that switchback. And where on the outside goes Verstappen. What a move from Max Verstappen. Did the switchback. Sent it to the outside. And clean around the outside of Hamilton. Now Verstappen up in the podium positions from 7th place. He drops down to 7th place. Not like he started there. He dropped down to 7th place. Brilliant driving for Max Verstappen, as now he's in pursuit of Daniel Ricciardo. It seems after their issues in Singapore with low-speed corners, they are better than ever, Red Bull at the moment. In the straight line, in the speed traps, they're not quite where Mercedes are. But in the corners, they are absolutely flying. And now that is being shown because Verstappen is already on the back of Daniel Ricciardo. He was in 7th place at one point, or 6th place at one point, and now he's battling for 2nd. He's got the DRS on the back of Ricciardo. Ricciardo goes defensive. Verstappen has a look down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. And Ricciardo locked up. And that lockup allowed Verstappen to just send it down the inside. Ricciardo went a little bit defensive there, and Verstappen looked like he was going to go to the outside, but then Ricciardo locked up and Verstappen sent it down the inside. Brilliant move by Max Verstappen, as now Ricciardo's little lockup there, as well as being overtaken by Verstappen, has allowed Hamilton, Vettel, Leclerc, and Ocon to catch up to him. He's got a bit of a train going on here. And he's going to have to push hard to try and stay in front of them. It is a lot easier to overtake here than it is at Singapore, and at Singapore he was overtaken by quite a few top runners, although he did have a car problem there. And when he didn't have an issue, he was actually able to stay in front of Sebastian Vettel. And here comes Hamilton. And it looks like he's going to get Ricciardo. Ricciardo goes defensive there. And that means Hamilton doesn't actually go for the move the same way Verstappen's been going for it in the last few laps. An incredible opening few laps for Verstappen. Look at how much he's pulled on Ricciardo now. And I think Ricciardo being up in 2nd place, or now he's in 3rd, really allowed Verstappen to get through the field so quickly. And now we can see, I believe that's Norris, going a bit defensive on Albon, as Norris hasn't exactly been performing spectacularly this season. It's been more Sainz who's had the better performances, but Norris is pretty good here in Russia, and he's doing the best job he can in that McLaren. but it looks like Albon right on the back of Norris. But since Norris has DRS from the cars in front, Albon can't make a move. And Ricciardo wasn't actually overtaken by Hamilton there, so Danny Rick doing a good job defending against Lewis Hamilton. But when it comes to Verstappen, he just couldn't quite defend from him, could he? Now Verstappen is chasing down Valtteri Bottas and could very well get back into the lead of this race, which would be absolutely incredible for him. Verstappen's pace has been beyond incredible today. And here goes Hamilton to the inside, which then becomes the outside, and Hamilton up into third place. Another podium chance for Ricciardo gone because Hamilton, in a much quicker car, got past him. And Hamilton, has to be said, isn't doing a horrible job this race. P5 up to P3. Not horrible, but Verstappen has done arguably a better job today. Although it's been a bit more risky, and he could have ended his race with some of those overtakes. They have paid off for him, as now he is still pursuing Valtteri Bottas as Albon touches the grass on the exit there. Hamilton is pulling away from Ricciardo, who is now under threat from the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel, who is trying to get past Ricciardo, but since Ricciardo is DRS and slipstream, it means that Vettel doesn't actually have that big of a straight line speed advantage, as the Renault is one of the quickest in a straight line. So it's allowing him to just stay in front of Vettel. And Hamilton is pulling away from Ricciardo, not by as much as Verstappen did, has to be said, but he is pulling away from Ricciardo at a decent rate. And it looks like third will probably be the best position Hamilton can get this race. In the past, Verstappen and Bottas have just shown that they are generally better at this track. Verstappen P18, I believe, all the way up into P5. He even led that race back in 2018 for a bit. And of course, Bottas in 2018 was doing a good job. And then here goes Sebastian Vettel, same as Hamilton, but he makes the move a little bit earlier. And there goes Vettel up in a fourth, as Ricciardo's just getting overtaken left, right, and center. It looks like his exit off the previous corner before that DRS straight isn't very good, and it's allowing those top cars to just catch right up to him. As I was saying earlier, though, Bottas probably would have won the 2018 race if James had not intervened. And into the pits goes Ricciardo and Leclerc. They have not pit Vettel, they've decided to pit Leclerc. And I'm sorry, that looks like clear favoritism for Charles Leclerc. I don't know if they believe that Leclerc could have gained more than Vettel, but that just doesn't seem right, because Vettel was on the back of Hamilton, and he's still on the back of Hamilton. Although maybe that was the goal that they were going for, get Leclerc out of that traffic, as it was just a train, really, and it would just be better for him to pit first. So maybe it's not favoritism. But Vettel actually really pushing. He's all over the back of Lewis Hamilton. And despite being in a slower car, Sebastian Vettel doing a decent job in this Russian Grand Prix to stay with Hamilton. Vettel staying with Lewis, but he is on those worn tires. Can he overtake Hamilton here? Hamilton won't have the DRS. Vettel gets a decent exit off the previous corner. Here they go, down the straight. Vettel looks to the outside. Hamilton goes defensive. Vettel can't make the move. Looks like Vettel had a look to the outside, which would then become the inside. I know what he was trying to do, but Hamilton did look like he did go a little bit defensive on Vettel, and that's allowed Vettel to... Well, it's allowed Hamilton to stay in front. But now the question is, will Leclerc and Ricciardo undercut both of them? Into the pits goes Max Verstappen, who was actually trying to overcut Bottas in an attempt to maybe gain more time. But I do believe the Red Bulls are now double stacking because of it. So I'm not sure if the overcut has worked. That's Bottas behind the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, who's right behind Romain Grosjean. Bottas is now going to get the DRS off Grosjean. and slipstream as well. And I believe he's going to easily get in front of Verstappen. Not only is he going to get in front of Verstappen, he's pulled almost 2 seconds on him, and now here he goes down the inside of Roman Grosjean. Look at how much he's pulled on. Wait, we couldn't really see how close Verstappen was, but he has certainly pulled. Bottas has certainly pulled on Verstappen, as now he gets in front of Grosjean. And Verstappen's going to have to push really, really hard now if he's to catch Bottas. And although his pace is very good, I'm not sure if he'll really be able to close down that gap. As we look further back and Vettel is in front of Ricciardo, who is in front of Leclerc, and Hamilton has lost so much time in the pits. We don't know what's happened there, but he's lost so much time in the pit lane, as now he's lost places to Ocon, Leclerc, and Ricciardo, and Vettel. Actually, he was in front of Vettel, so he's lost places to 4 people, and that is going to be a huge blow in this championship for him. He's going to try and catch up to them again, but that's really not good for Lewis. As now Verstappen's already caught up to Grosjean. I think he was actually a couple seconds in front of Grosjean, so Verstappen's done well to catch Grosjean, but now he's stuck behind him, as that Haas is one of, if not the slowest car on the grid. And now Grosjean pulls into the pit, so he hasn't held up Verstappen too much. But now they go onto the straight. Verstappen, once again, he's got a lot of work to do if he's to catch Bottas. He hasn't really caught up to him too much, but we weren't really looking at them earlier in this race. Is that? And yes, that is, we're on board with Verstappen here. As he cuts the corner a little bit, but that is allowed. Verstappen going off track a little bit. He's really using all the track there, Verstappen. Giving it absolutely everything. He still believes he can catch Bottas. That is Danny Rick, who's lost quite a lot of time to Vettel. And then it's Leclerc behind Ricciardo. So I'm surprised Leclerc and Ricciardo couldn't undercut Vettel. They did get very close to doing so. And they have massively undercut Hamilton, who's lost so much in the pits. Even Ocon pit the same lap as Hamilton. I have no idea how Ocon's overtaken Hamilton. Leclerc is very close to Ricciardo now. But it's actually not that close. So maybe on the start-finish straight, if he can get enough straight line speed in that Ferrari. But that Renault is good in the straight line too, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to make this work. He's a little bit too far back, I think. Ocon touching the grass there. But yeah, you can see now he's just a bit too far back. Ricciardo, not sure. Is he going defensive there? No, I guess that's just the line he likes taking. As they go through the quick turn 4. And look at that, Ricciardo has genuinely pulled a gap on Leclerc here. He's almost gotten out of the DRS. Oh, well, not quite actually, as Leclerc gained so much with that DRS, but that is very surprising that Ricciardo is actually able to pull that gap on Leclerc. And look at that, Verstappen is definitely catching Bottas now on these fresh tires. He's on fresher tires. I think that was really what they wanted with this overcut, to get him on the fresher tires, and he's much closer to Bottas now than he was last couple laps. Now Hamilton, I think, is chasing down Ocon, and that is Albon, who has overtaken Lando Norris. As obviously Norris didn't have the DRS, Albon had clear pace advantage, and I believe they've actually put Norris on the hards. And yes, they have, and they've pretty much ruined Norris's strategy, as now the car's behind that racing point back there. I think Stroll might very well even overtake Norris, because they've done the wrong strategy. The hards are simply not the right tire to be running here. As now Leclerc has actually closed down that gap that Ricciardo was able to pull out. Ricciardo, still has to be said, is doing a pretty damn good job in that Renault. Only one position away from that podium that he hasn't gotten since Monaco 2018. He's gotten close a couple times this season, especially at Singapore. It's probably his best opportunity, but fortunately it hasn't quite worked out, and once again it hasn't worked out here. Here goes Charles Leclerc to the outside, into turn 1. Ricciardo's on the inside. It looks like he locked up a little bit. Leclerc around the outside of turn 1. They're side by side. Leclerc at the inside. What a move by Charles Leclerc to overtake Daniel Ricciardo. It was really only a matter of time. Leclerc had a clear pace advantage. I think he was probably going slowly when Ricciardo pulled that gap, because now once he is pushing, he is quite a bit quicker in that Ferrari, which is a much better car than that Renault, of course. Ricciardo does have DRS, but he's a little bit too far back, I'd have to say, on Leclerc to make a move, and yeah, he's just a tiny bit too far back. And Vettel looks like he's going to get this third place pretty easily over his teammate on the final lap of the race. It's Bottas who wins here in Russia, followed by Verstappen, Vettel, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Ocon, and then Hamilton, who actually did catch Ocon right at the end there, but it wasn't enough for him to actually overtake him. But it's Bottas who wins the race. Verstappen couldn't quite catch him in the end.
Another superb Russian Grand Prix comes to an end, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again. And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen now leads the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talents out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to say Sebastian Vettel certainly caught my eye during today's race. Incredible driving. I know that's at odds with the official decision, but I think they deserve some recognition on a day where both of these drivers are at the top of their game.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.